November 6, 2021 to November 23, 2024 was the time when the hit show Arcane released and ended, and our lives were never the same again. This show has become one of my all-time favorites, and I know I'm not the only one. As an artist, this show is literally the best eye candy. I mean, they put their whole ussy into this show, and I am not complaining. I am certainly not complaining. Yeah, let's get to the video. So I could sit here and talk about how amazing the show is story-wise, visual-wise, and my overall hyperfixation for Arcane, but we would be here all day. As I was doom scrolling one night, per usual, I came across this Instagram reel made by Night Banana. I've been seeing a lot of pause challenges across YouTube, Insta, etc., and I wanted to give it a go. Though this isn't a typical pause challenge, where you pause the video to see where you land on, but it still gives multiple choice, so I'm going to call it a pause challenge video anyway. Of course, while watching Arcane, I wanted to make an OC, so this gave me a good excuse. So for the first question is in regard to where your character will be from. I have an odd birthday, so I get Zon. Next prompt is whether or not your OC will be good or evil. Since my birthday is in August, my character will be evil. Ooh. I have one sister, so my character will be getting unnatural hair color. Now, next for eye color, my favorite season is spring. It's perfect weather to not be soaked in sweat and still wear whatever you want, and all the plants are bright and blooming, so my OC will have warm colored eyes, either red, orange, or yellow. For accessories, I live with family that have a dog and 3 cats, so I'll be giving my OC goggles and piercings. Alright, we got our list to make this character. I was super stumped on this for a good few days, just trying to brainstorm some ideas, but I think I've come up with something I like. So while drawing this character, I actually have name and lore for her too. Can you guys believe it? I actually use my big brain to think of big OC things. Are you guys ready for me to start yapping? Of course you are. So let me introduce you to Syra. She is a woman in her mid-20s, and her whole gimmick is that she is a pyromaniac. Her backstory is still a work in progress, but I'll tell you what I have right now. She was born in Zon, her father was an engineer, and her mother and Syra worked in one of the Shimmer supply depots. Because Syra's father is disabled, he spent most of his time at home working on his experiments and his tools for progression. If it was even for progression, Syra didn't know, even though most of them weren't successful. She enjoyed watching them burst into flames, smoke, explosions. The reaction between chemicals and metal that didn't exactly get along really piqued her interest. She knew it was dangerous. She was warned, but her curiosity outweighed it. Though her father wasn't the only one who made mistakes, and one day when Syra and her mother were working, someone wasn't keeping a proper eye on things and an explosion happened. Syra ended up getting badly wounded. Her upper left arm all the way to her face were caught in the fire. Syra's mom didn't survive the explosion as she jumped in front of her daughter to protect her. Syra had to seek medical attention, and when she woke up to find out about her mother's death, she was devastated. Her father became depressed and sucked himself deeper into his work, so much that he barely paid attention to Syra and her well-being. She had to find her own way around the house with her wounds, make her own dinner, and eventually go right back to the depot to make money to keep whatever they had left. Months went by, then years. Her father wasn't getting any better. If he wasn't working on his faulty experiments, he was drinking his sorrows away. Syra became angry towards him. They would fight constantly, screaming match after screaming match. One night, as Syra was going to vengefully destroy her father's notes, she decided to take a good look at them herself. She watched him slave away at this for years. Maybe she could solve what he couldn't, or even make something better. This sparked back her interest for fire. She stayed up all night working on her own project, and in the morning she had made herself her own flamethrower. Granted, not perfect, but it shot flames, and that was enough to get the wheels turning in her head. Syra wanted to understand the fire. She felt drawn to it, like some supernatural force was pushing her to it. She would end up stealing materials around her house, from her dad, from the outside, and start creating her own stuff. Her dad discovered this and was pretty upset, getting in her face and blaming her for why nothing for him has worked out, that he didn't want her around and he couldn't stand to look at her. So Syra left, taking all her work and stealing most of his work in the process, and went to find herself her own place. She had found a small abandoned place squished in with a couple other houses and moved in. She continued on building while stealing for food and necessities. She has heard about the rumors of Jinx and all the commotion that came with it and was inspired by her. Syra's obsession with fire only got bigger and bigger. She wanted to master the art of it and use it for herself. She managed to find herself interacting with people that needed jobs done. In return, she would get paid and parts for her gadgets and weapons. She didn't take kindly to people taking advantage of her time and resources, and she would burn them down for it. Eventually, she ended up making a name for herself and would rather cause chaos than always work for other people. Syra is impulsive, chaotic, selfish. She thinks only of herself and what will benefit her while making a mess of Piltover and Zon. She doesn't like the idea of either places holding her down with their rules and social statuses. She's super independent. Because of this, she doesn't really get close to people, including still her own father, whose whereabouts are unknown. Even if people try to get close to her, her obsession with fire and thinking of only herself overshadows that. Maybe one day she might get close to someone, but I haven't thought that through yet. She has a hard time trusting people just as people have a hard time trusting her. I'd like to think that she really gets on Savika's nerves like how Jinx does. Syra really comes around probably a while after Jinx disappears, so it's like Savika never got to get rid of the bullshit these Zonites bring. Nobody knows for certain what motivates her to make everything into a pile of ashes. Was it from childhood? Was it from the death of her family member? Was it lack of resources for a better life? It's all very uncertain, but she seems pretty content watching the world burn from her own hands. Okay, anyway, Miss Yaps a lot. Let's get into the design of the character now. Oof. I was originally going to go for a more dynamic pose, but I wanted the whole design to be seen, so I picked a straightforward pose. I knew I wanted to give her big crazy red hair as well. Would this hair make sense in real life? No. But it's Arcane, and Arcane hairstyles go a bit crazy. I gave her the piercings and goggles. I wanted her to have a cool outfit, but also not something too crazy. I don't think Syra would be super particular when it comes to clothing. I think whatever she wears probably gets covered in ash and burned holes anyway. I gave her a crop top jacket with armor shoulder plates that are gold to match with her color scheme. I wanted her outfit, her hair, her gun, all of it to work with a theme of red, orange, and yellow. She's got a button-up top, some shorts, and ripped-up leggings. I gave her some platform boots with gold steel-toed armor with some gold spikes. I added some spikes along with her design, like some of her piercings and handgun. I gave her some belts so she could hold little stuff and an extra bottle of flammable liquid. She's got her scars, her red flame tattoos, and her smudged-up eyeshadow. She would probably smell like a campfire, to be honest. I ended up drawing her weapon on a separate canvas, and I included an extra weapon to build up more of her character, so I'm gonna take a minute to show off that. I rarely draw weapons, if not ever. The only time I had to was when I was in school doing concept studies. I definitely want to get better at objects and backgrounds. So, just as a pre-warning for all my gun nerds, I know these might not be like 100% accurate to actual guns. I gotta mix fantasy with reality here, alright? So I start off with her dual handgun because I needed that for her main drawing. Using a typical flamethrower look, I expanded from that and tried to make it more arcanified. Arcane weapons come in all sorts of funky shapes, designs, colors, and patterns, especially when it's for characters from Zon. Though the first one is supposed to be a handgun, it's definitely bigger than one. I drew an idea for Syra's big gun below, but with some advice from my friend, I later changed the design a lot. So the first sketch is kinda blech. I went in and lined the handgun, adding extra complexity details in the process. I gave it some black, gray, and gold to match with Syra's colors. For her big handgun, as you see, I changed the sketch completely. My first instinct with these guns was to make them look as realistic as possible, but I was reminded that I'm making weapons for a crazy fictional world, so the weapons are not going to look like ours in real life. So I gave it a big back end to hold the Hextech fireball in the middle. The back of the gun is supposed to be held with both hands in front of her, so I added the pink handle and the hand part with a button to activate the fireballs. Unlike the handgun where it shoots straight up fire, the big gun shoots fireballs at opponents instead. I added more gold plates, big spikes in the front. I'm pretty proud of how it turned out, even if the design was last minute, and I think it totally expands Syra's character more. Speaking of OCs, do you guys want to see more awesome OC stuff that even you can take part in creating your own? Well, I had the pleasure of collaborating with GSJJ to make my own custom keychains. Keychains Co. is an international brand under GSJJ who specializes in high-quality keychains. GSJJ manufacturers make products ranging from neon signs, custom stickers, enamel pins, coins, medals, belt buckles, keychains, and many more products. They have a variety of high-quality materials that you can pretty much fully design up to your liking with the options given to you. They even provide bulk order discounts, free shipping supplies, and fast turnaround time, so for all my artists running their own shop and small businesses, this might be the place just for you. When working with them, I was able to customize my own keychains with my OC Mumu, and she came out so cute. They had many options to choose from when it came to the clasps, the holographic design, what size and color I wanted my keychains to be, and so much more. The wait time wasn't that long either. About 2 weeks max with approving the product, waiting for them to be created, and then being shipped to me. I think my design is super cute and cohesive. I added some sparkly star holographic details to complement the star clasp, and of course, Moomoo's personality. I'm really happy to see my OC on an actual product, and I can't wait to add this to my collection of other keychains. If you're interested in getting keychains similar to mine, go click the link in the description below to check out quotes and get started. Thank you so much for GSJJ for reaching out to me, and go check out their products. Anyway, back to the video. Okay, and back to the main piece. I wanted to give the Arcane style a go and attempt to draw a headshot of Syra. By using the head models of Vi and Jinx, I tried to get an understanding of what shading and highlights I needed to put. I went in and sketched it out with my pencil brush first. I'm someone who totally struggles with drawing without line art, so I need to see where things go before adding in color. I was a little nervous it wasn't looking right, but as soon as I started shading it in more, it was really coming together. The eyes really helped tie it, even without the hair being started on yet. Arcane has a mix of shadows and bright highlights between the corners of the eyes that make it really distinctive. Trying to draw her goggles with the right amount of shading to make her pop was so hard. Eventually I got around to adding her hair, which was surprisingly the easiest part. I added in all the flat color, and using the sketch lines as reference, I added the shadows and the hair highlights. Then the last bits were just adding her messed up eyeshadow. As you can see, I was definitely inspired by Jinx, but I try to still make Syra different. Unlike Jinx, who's definitely crazy at times, it's more for how dirty the world has done her, how she thinks she's a jinx to those around her, while I consider Syra just a bit crazy. She doesn't really have a motivator for doing what she does. I can just imagine her laughing hysterically at everything, even if it's for her getting injured. She'd probably do everything with an evil smile on her face and not think twice about it. I'm really happy with how this came out, and as someone who struggles getting attached to OCs, I instantly fell in love with her. I'm really excited to draw her more in the future. I hope I did good with the options given to me. If you'd like to see the video I used to create my OC, the link will be in the description, so go give them some love. And if you're interested, go make a character based off of the reel. If you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I made a community post a bit ago to give my thank yous and updates on videos, but in case you haven't seen it, thank you again for over 3K subs, maybe even 4K subscribers by the time this video gets out. I've really enjoyed reading over comments and seeing some of you even come join me on Insta and other platforms. If you're a bit disappointed that this isn't a story time, if that's where you came from, then don't worry, because that still will be what I plan to upload here. I feel like I've said that a few times, but I just want to be clear about it. And for those that like these kind of videos, or you're just supporting whatever I put out, I appreciate you a lot. These videos will be around from time to time, just whatever inspires me in the moment. But anyway, thank you guys again for being here, and please go check out GSJJ. The link will be in the description below. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.